If you're hearing this, I didn't make it out. My name is Marcus Hale. 3 months ago, I was a software engineer in Virginia, mortgage, girlfriend, spaghetti at 6. 47 days ago, the CIA recruited me into a program with 10 levels, and they swear the program does not exist. Tonight, I tried to leave. I can hear the elevator moving. They're 3 doors away. This is what level 1 through level 10 looks like from the inside. Level 1, the offer. It starts with an email that has no sender, no subject, and 1 line of text. We've been watching your work. There's a position you're qualified for. The position does not exist. I assumed it was phishing. I deleted it. The next morning, the same email was at the top of my inbox with a new timestamp from the same address that didn't exist. I deleted it again. On the 3rd morning, it was there again, and underneath it was a single photograph of me typing in my office, taken from an angle that would have required someone to be standing in the ceiling vent. That was the day a man was waiting at my coffee shop with a folder that had my name printed on it in black ink. Inside the folder, photographs of me at work, at the gym, outside my girlfriend's apartment at night, a photograph of me as a child, and underneath all of them, a photograph of my father in a uniform I'd never seen him wear. Level 2, the question. His name was Lawrence. He didn't show ID. He didn't need to. He knew the password to my work laptop. He knew the name of the dog I'd had when I was 8, the one that had been hit by a car that nobody else in the family ever talked about. He knew that when I was 9, my father had drowned in a fishing accident in Lake Anna, except, Lawrence said, my father hadn't drowned. Lawrence slid another photograph across the table. In it, my father was standing in front of a steel door, somewhere underground, holding the same kind of folder that was now in front of me. My father had been one of them. A program that doesn't have a name on paper, doesn't have a budget line, doesn't appear in any oversight committee. He told me my father didn't drown, he was recalled. He told me my father was probably still alive, wearing a different name. And then he asked me a question I've thought about every single day since. Do you want to know who your father really worked for? I said yes. Of course I said yes. That was the first mistake. Level 3, the descent. They don't fly you to Langley. Langley is for the photo ops, the press tours, the Hollywood movies. They drive you, blindfolded, for 14 hours in the back of a vehicle with no license plates, the radio turned to static loud enough that you can't hear the turns. When the blindfold comes off, you're underground. The air smells like wet limestone and ozone the way a basement smells after a thunderstorm. There are no windows on any floor, and after a week, you stop looking for them. There are no clocks, no phones, no mirrors. Time is whatever the lights tell you it is. Sometimes the lights lie. Level 4, Subject 12. This is where they take your name, they take your phone, your watch, your wallet, your wedding band if you've got one. For the first 30 days, I was Subject 12. There were 11 others. We ate in the same cafeteria. We trained in the same rooms. We slept in cells separated by 20 centimeters of concrete, and we never spoke, not once. Sometimes, across the cafeteria, a subject's eyes would meet mine for half a second, and in that half second, there was a whole conversation. Do you know what they're doing to us? Are you still you? And then we'd both look back at our trays. Glancing too long was a violation. The rules were posted on the back of every door. 3 rules. 1. Do not ask the names of others. 2. Do not ask what we do here. 3. Do not try to leave. I broke all 3 by day 47, but the first one I broke was Rule 2, because by day 19, I'd figured out what we did here. And I needed someone else to confirm I wasn't insane. Level 5. The gift. The training was strange. Not field work, not weapons, not interrogation. We did memory exercises, a photograph for 2 seconds, recall every detail an hour later, starting with how many buttons the man in the photograph was wearing on his shirt. We did pattern recognition on faces, 12 mugshots, one of them not a real person, find the AI-generated one in under 3 seconds. We were shown footage of strangers, pulled from gas station cameras and doorbells and baby monitors, and asked to predict what those strangers would do in the next 24 hours. Would they argue with their wife? Would they run a red light? Would they hit their kid? On day 14, I scored 96%. The next best subject scored 71. The instructor stopped the class in the middle of a session. He didn't say anything for almost a full minute. He just looked at me. The way you look at a dog that did a trick it wasn't supposed to know. Then he turned to me and said, "You're ready for the room. Level 6. The room. Sublevel 4. They scanned my retina. 2 armed men who had been standing in the same hallway for all 34 days I'd been there without ever once making eye contact opened a steel door that hissed when it unsealed. And I saw it. Hundreds of monitors. Every one of them showing a different American citizen, live in their kitchens, in their cars, at their kids' soccer games. A woman putting on mascara in her bathroom mirror. A teenage boy in a bedroom writing in a notebook with the shades drawn. And in the corner of each monitor, a percentage, threat probability, updated every 6 seconds. Some of them were 2%. A few 3 that I could count were over 80. Those 3 had a small red triangle next to the percentage. The triangle meant something. I didn't have to ask what. We weren't being trained as agents. We were being trained as predictors. The program's job was to decide which of these people would commit a crime in the next 48 hours. Before they committed it. Before they bought the gun. Before, in some cases, they had even consciously decided to do it. Level 7. First blood. Day 28. They put me in the field not to act, but to vote. They drove me to a suburb in Maryland in a black SUV with the interior lights disabled. Ridge, the triggerman, sat in the front seat. I sat in the back with a tablet. On the tablet, the face of a 36-year-old accountant named Daniel. Wife, 2 kids, no criminal record. The system said in 11 hours he would walk into his daughter's school with a 9mm and shoot 4 people. Probability, 94%. Ridge turned around and asked me the question he'd been trained to ask. "Do we go?" I said yes. Ridge entered the house at 2:47 inches the morning through a bedroom window. I sat in the SUV and watched the heart rate monitor on Daniel's smartwatch. Yes, they had access go from sleeping to spiking to flatline. 3 minutes. No noise, no struggle. Then Ridge came back. He didn't say anything. He just handed me a small, clear evidence bag. In the bag, a ring of keys, a wedding band, and a 9mm handgun, the serial number already scratched off exactly the way the system had said it would be. We never knew if Daniel would have actually done it. I'd voted yes. We'd taken him before he could prove the system right or wrong. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. I kept thinking about the wife who would wake up and reach across the bed and find it empty. Level 8. The trap. On day 33, I started looking for a way out. I memorized the camera blind spots. There were exactly 3 on each floor, and they shifted on a 48-hour rotation I had to track in my head. Writing anything down was a Tier 1 violation. I learned which corridors had no audio coverage. I figured out that the laundry chute on sublevel 2 dropped into a maintenance corridor that exited the facility through a service tunnel near a county road. 600 meters through a vent the width of my shoulders, hot enough to leave burns on my forearms. On day 41, I tried it. I made it 300 meters, then the lights came on inside the vent. All of them, at once. And a calm voice came through a speaker I hadn't seen. "Hello, Marcus, please come back. We'd like to talk." When I crawled back out, Lawrence was waiting for me holding a bottle of water. He wasn't angry. He smiled. He said, "We knew you'd try on day 41. The system predicted day 42. You're ahead of schedule. That's a good sign." He said it like it was a promotion. He said I was being moved to Tier 2. He didn't tell me what Tier 2 was. But that night they took Subject 9. I never saw her again. Level 9. Tier 2. Tier 2 had a fake window. That's how I knew I was deeper underground than I'd been before. The forest outside the window looped every 90 seconds, same bird, same wind, same shadow of a branch falling across the same patch of grass. I started counting the loops, just to feel something I controlled. On day 45, they brought me a new target. It was a photograph. I knew the face before I'd even focused my eyes on it. It was my girlfriend, Chloe. In the photograph, she was standing on the porch of our apartment holding a grocery bag, squinting at the sun. The timestamp was from that morning. The system said in 72 hours she would post something on social media that would compromise the existence of the program. Threat probability, 88%. I asked what the intervention was. Lawrence said it was minimal. He said I would be the one to do it. He said it would be a test. I asked what would happen if I refused. Lawrence said, Marcus, the system already predicted you'd ask that. It also predicted what you'd do next. We're just here to watch. Level 10. The glitch. Day 47. I had a key card I wasn't supposed to have, a stolen sidearm, access codes I'd memorized off a screen Lawrence didn't realize I'd seen, and 40 seconds before they locked the elevator. I made it to the elevator. The doors closed. The elevator went up for a long time. The doors opened. Sublevel 1. Parking garage I'd never seen. 12 cars, evenly spaced. Every single one of them had its driver's side door cracked open and the keys already in the ignition, like a buffet. Like they'd known exactly which car I would take. I took the gray sedan because it was furthest from the door. I drove through the gate without slowing down. There was nobody at the gate. I drove for 6 hours. When I stopped, I was at a payphone outside a gas station in West Virginia. The payphone shouldn't have worked. They never work anymore. This one had a fresh dial tone. I called the only number I'd memorized Chloe's mother to tell her to get Chloe out of the apartment, to drive somewhere I would name in person, to leave now. Her mother answered on the second ring. I said, "It's Marcus. Listen carefully, Chloe is in danger." Her mother was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Marcus, sweetheart, Chloe died 3 years ago." "Don't you remember?" I don't remember Chloe dying. I don't remember a funeral. I don't remember any of the last 3 years the way her mother described them. According to her mother, I was the one who found her. According to her mother, I had spent 6 weeks in a hospital afterward I have no memory of. According to her mother, the man she'd spoken to most often during those 6 weeks was a man named Lawrence, a grief counselor, who had recommended I take time off work, who had recommended I take a new job, who, she said, had been so kind, such a comfort during everything. I don't know which version of my life is real. I don't know if Lawrence recruited me 47 days ago or 3 years ago or longer. I don't know if my father drowned or was recalled or if my father is still out there somewhere wearing a different name. I don't even know if I'm the first version of Marcus Hale the program has made. I'm recording this from a motel 40 miles west of where I made the call. I have 9 hours of memory I can't account for since I left the gas station. There's a man in the parking lot who hasn't gotten out of his car for the last 40 minutes. And the recorder I'm speaking into has a serial number etched on the bottom that says, "Property of redacted program, subject 12. Issue date 3 years ago." I never owned this recorder. If you're watching this, subscribe and find part 2. Because by the time you're hearing this, I think I'm already back inside. And I think I have been the entire time.